All right, you have heard it. Processed foods, right? They're bad for you. Are all of them bad for you? Well, UAB nutritionist Dr. Beth Kitchin joins us to tell us about the good, the bad, not the ugly, but the okay on processed foods. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too, Mike.
Are you about to tell me it's okay for me to eat a Twinkie?
Well, I don't know that I go that far. Okay. Now, remember, everything in moderation. I never say never. I never say don't ever eat a Twinkie. I just don't think that's the way to go. Right. But you hear so many people, processed foods are bad, processed foods are bad. And I kind of always take a step back and go, well, wait a minute. Processed foods, that word processed, is a really broad category.
It is.
And so we need to be a little bit more specific about what we're talking about when we condemn processed foods as being the big bad evil in our diets.
All right, so and I know you looked at this, and there's people, they fall into categories, don't they?
Sure.
Of what would be deemed really unhealthy processed foods if you're trying to diet and lower blood sugar and all that.
Right.
And then those that are not necessarily healthy, but they're okay.
Right, and so the first set of processed foods are the minimally processed foods. So things like natural cheeses, milk, bagged salads, 100% fruit juice. These are all processed foods, whole grain cereals, canned tuna and salmon. Well, these are actually all pretty healthy, what I would consider almost whole foods. And so these are really good choices to go with for most people.
Okay.
Now, the next group are the sort of moderately healthy processed foods. So these are a little bit more processed, but they are not so processed that you can't have them at all. A lot of people say, oh, canned foods are bad. Well, actually, canned vegetables can be a really great way if you're on a budget, if your fruits and vegetables tend to go bad in the refrigerator and you're wasting them. Canning itself is fine. The problem with canning is a lot of times they add a lot of sodium, or in the case of fruits, a lot of sugar. So if you look for low sugar, low sodium canned fruits and vegetables, those can actually be a really great way of getting your fruits and vegetables. And then also frozen meals, which can be really, really bad. But when you look for ones that have fruits and vegetables in them, they're lower sodium, lower fat, they can actually be a pretty good choice.
But frozen vegetables better than canned vegetables, right?
Frozen vegetables tend to be pretty good because, in fact, sometimes they're healthier for you than fresh because they freeze them right as they come out of the field pretty much.
Okay.
They parboil them very quickly, seals in a lot of nutrients, and so actually frozen vegetables in the bag can actually be super healthy, and we think of them as processed, but they're healthy.
And then the last category.
All right, this one's pretty obvious, right? Frozen pizza, fast foods, the frozen TV dinners. Now, again, I never say never. I never say don't ever eat these, but you really do want to limit the frozen pizza to a, last ditch, I don't really feel like cooking tonight. We're just going to go with the DiGiorno's frozen pizza, right? And I do that.
Well, because you've been to college, and there may be some college kids watching.
Exactly.
They're like, what am I going to do?
And I do that. And the processed meats, the ones in the packages that have the nitrates and the nitrites added, and they're high in sodium. So when we really think of what is a bad processed foods, what people I think really mean are foods that have been stripped of their healthy nutrition, things like fiber, for instance, potassium, and then also that have had a lot of stuff added to them, like sodium, sugar, maybe trans fats, which we're seeing less of in foods. So that's what we really need. So don't feel like you can never have any processed foods, that this whole category is bad. We've got to look at them sort of individually.
All right, thank you for clarifying, Dr. Beth K.
Thank you, Mike.
Always a joy. All right.